The vast, star-studded tapestry of space unfolded before our eyes. Galaxies spiraled in symphonies of light and color, nebulas swirled, ethereal clouds pregnant with the birth of stars. Our journey took us through this cosmic ballet, past celestial wonders that dwarfed our imaginations. Our destination, Delta Leonis. Delta Leonis, a star far different from our own sun. It burned hotter, brighter, and with a fierce intensity that commanded respect. 58 light-years distant, it beckoned with the allure of the unknown. What secrets did it hold? What mysteries lay hidden within its fiery heart? We were about to find out. Inside the spacecraft, Captain Chase Orion adjusted his biomonitor, a stoic expression etched on his face. His eyes, reflecting the soft glow of the control panel, betrayed a hint of trepidation. This mission was pushing the very limits of human endurance, a daring dance with a celestial inferno.
Approaching Delta Leonis in T-minus 30 minutes,
announced Rico, the mission's ever-optimistic astrophysicist. His voice, a stark contrast to Chase's quiet intensity, filled the cockpit with nervous energy. The journey had been long, fraught with the unknowns of deep space exploration, but the true test was about to begin. Delta Leonis, also known as Zosma, blazed with the brilliance of 1,000 suns. Twice the size of our sun and far more luminous, it belonged to a class of stars known as subgiants. These stellar behemoths lived fast and died young, their cores burning through their hydrogen fuel at an alarming rate. What fascinated scientists about Delta Leonis was its unusual chemical composition. It possessed an abundance of heavy elements, far more than our own sun. This anomaly hinted at a complex stellar history, one that could shed light on the formation of other star systems and perhaps even planets. The data streamed onto the ship's main screen, a torrent of numbers and graphs that spoke volumes to trained eyes. Rico, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface, analyzed the information with a mix of excitement and apprehension.
Chase, the energy output is fluctuating. These solar flares are more frequent and intense than we anticipated. We're in for a bumpy ride.
The spaceship shuddered, caught in the gravitational pull of the star. Outside, the void of space crackled with energy, a symphony of solar wind and radiation. Chase gripped the control panel, his knuckles white.
Rico, what's the status on our heat shield?
Chase asked, his voice betraying a hint of urgency. The closer they got to Delta Leonis, the more intense the heat became. The ship's ablative shielding, designed to burn away and dissipate the extreme temperatures, was their only protection.
Shields are holding at 87% integrity, Captain, but the energy spikes are putting a strain on the system. We can't stay in this close proximity for much longer.
Chase knew this. Their mission was a delicate balancing act, get close enough to collect vital data without being incinerated in the process. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and the ship would be vaporized in an instant.
Preparing for stellar probe deployment,
Chase announced, his voice calm despite the escalating tension. Their objective was to launch a probe equipped with advanced sensors that would collect data from the star's corona, the outermost layer of its atmosphere. The probe, a marvel of engineering, was designed to withstand the extreme temperatures and radiation levels near Delta Leonis. It would skim the star's surface, gathering crucial information about its composition, magnetic fields, and solar wind.
Probe launch in 3, 2, 1.
Rico initiated the launch sequence, his fingers flying across the control panel. The probe shot out from the belly of the ship, a tiny speck of defiance against the fiery backdrop of the star. Chase watched the probe's progress on the monitor, his heart pounding in his chest. The probe, tethered to the ship by a high-tensile cable, descended towards the star, a tiny dancer braving the inferno of a cosmic dragon. The data streamed back from the probe, a torrent of information that had never been collected before. Rico, his eyes wide with scientific curiosity, was ecstatic, but his joy was short-lived.
Chase, we have a problem. The tether. It's fraying. The heat and radiation are too intense.
Chase's heart sank. Without the tether, the probe would be lost, along with all the valuable data it had collected. He had to make a decision, and fast.
Rico, calculate the trajectory if we detach the tether now.
Chase's voice was firm despite the turmoil raging within him. They were now in a race against time, with the very survival of the mission hanging in the balance. The ship groaned as it strained against the tether, the metal screaming in protest. The data stream from the probe became erratic, a digital death rattle.
Chase, we have to detach now.
Rico yelled, his voice barely audible above the alarm klaxons blaring throughout the ship. The readings on the console flickered ominously. The tether was moments from snapping. Chase's hand hovered over the detach button. To sever the tether meant abandoning the probe and all the irreplaceable data it carried, yet to hold on any longer risked the lives of everyone on board. It was a choice fraught with impossible consequences. With a deep breath, Chase slammed his hand down on the button. The tether, a glowing ember against the backdrop of the star, snapped. The probe, freed from its lifeline, tumbled uncontrollably towards the inferno. The ship lurched violently as the tether, once taut with tension, went slack. Chase fought to regain control, his hands a blur as he adjusted the thrusters, counteracting the star's relentless pull.
Chase, are you all right?
Rico's voice crackled over the comms, laced with concern. He sounded far away, even though he was just a few feet from Chase. But Chase couldn't respond. He was fixated on the monitor, his eyes wide with horror. The probe, engulfed in flames, was hurtling toward the star's surface. But that's not what made his blood run cold. Trailing behind the probe, still tethered to the severed end of the cable, was Chase's worst nightmare. A spacesuit, with Rico still strapped inside.
Rico!
Chase's shout echoed through the cockpit, but it was no use. Rico, still tethered to the doomed probe, was hurtling towards the fiery abyss of Delta Leonis. Despair threatened to engulf Chase. He was alone, stranded in the vast emptiness of space, his best friend and colleague seemingly lost to the inferno. The mission, once a beacon of hope and scientific discovery, had morphed into a nightmare. As Chase stared numbly at the monitor, a faint blip flickered on the screen. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a distress signal originating from Rico's suit. Hope, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, surged through Chase. Rico was alive, but how? And how long could his suit withstand the punishing environment of a star's corona? Chase's fingers flew across the control panel, analyzing the faint signal, desperately searching for an explanation, a solution. The distress beacon was weak, intermittent, but it was a lifeline in the face of despair.
Rico, if you can hear me, acknowledge.
Chase spoke into the comm system, his voice hoarse with a mixture of hope and desperation. The silence that met his plea was deafening. Just as Chase was about to give in to despair, a voice, faint and distorted, crackled over the comm system. It was weak, barely a whisper, but it was unmistakable.
Chase, is that you?